Well, microplastics is the term for the breakdown or degradation products of larger plastic materials that over time break down into their molecular form, so they can be very small to microscopic.
You know, the majority of microplastics that we're going to find are going to come from broken down plastic trash, plastic bags, plastic bottles, styrofoam. But with so little information about microplastics and their impact on fresh water, we're not really sure what we're going to find.
We can see and smell sewage. It's very obvious when there's a spill of sewer water into our rivers or creeks. Microplastics, we see bottles, we see plastic parts, but you can't see the microplastics, even though they are there in very large numbers.
I think the biggest thing is it's something that we don't see. So you see a plastic bottle on the side of the road and you don't imagine yourself eating a whole plastic bottle, but you know, with microplastics, they're so small, they migrate into the tissues of the animals that we eat. And so I think there's just a lack of connection between you know, what people see as pollution and their understanding of how it makes it into our body. So we're here today collecting a water sample to analyze for the presence of microplastics, which are just small particles of plastic that have broken down over time. In some cases they start small, and we're just looking to see how many of these particles we find in a normal water sample.
We bought mason jars, approximately 1 liter size, to collect a 1 liter sample out of the river, which our interns do during swim guide every week. They bring the sample back. I filter it through a piece of paper that has grids on it. And then I take that paper and put it under a dissecting scope where I look at it 40 to 60 times magnification to identify the plastics in the water sample. I think right now we're just kind of scratching the surface about where these plastics are and in what quantities. The Tennessee River was just named as one of the most polluted rivers for microplastics with 16 to 18,000 particles per cubic meter. Now here in the Cahaba River, it's not rural, but it's a smaller river, and we're finding on average 2,000 to 4,000 particles per cubic meter.
I think people should just know that microplastics have the ability to get into our body, whether it's the water that we drink or the food that we eat. It's important for us to understand what the impact of that may be.
Well, I think the most important thing to know about microplastics is they're everywhere. Recently, we found out that their fibers are floating in the air we breathe, and there's fibers and particles of microplastics that we can't see with the naked eye that are in our water.
I think microplastics are really an emerging concern, and I don't think a lot of people are aware of them yet. And so I think there's just a lack of connection between you know, what people see as pollution and their understanding of how it makes it into our body.
I think it would behoove us as a species to start moving away from plastic production and plastic use.
For all of us, I think the big challenge is to reduce our reliance on plastics in general. I mean, we've migrated to a society that uses single-use plastics more than anywhere else in the world. If you can eliminate some of those things, then certainly those plastics can't make it into the water.